So it was kind of late, right before Halloween, and my friend Brian and I and Sam, damn it.
Keep going.
Okay, so I'm just gonna restart. So my best friends Sam and Brian always have to tell the story every time we're meeting someone new of like right before Halloween, we were out and it was kind of late and I was getting kind of hungry. So we had stopped at 7-Eleven to like get some gas and some drinks, and I was like, hey, I'm kind of hungry, and he's like, yeah, I just grabbed something from the hot dog roller. I'm like, cool, but like how? Because I didn't see any tongs or anything, and I was like looking around for it. And he had said, well, you know, they're right over there and you just go ahead and grab it. I'm like, yeah, okay, makes sense. So I go grab the hot dog, and Brian's just like, wait. I'm like, what? He's like, well, you got to be real careful not to touch the tongs to the metal, because if you do, it'll buzz, kind of like the game Operation. And I was like, okay. I didn't super believe him, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I was a little more careful, and I was like super concentrated and reaching in, and I had the hot dog almost, and then all of a sudden Brian goes buzz, and like it scared me because I was so concentrated, and like the hot dog basically almost went flying across the 7-Eleven. And it was just kind of terrible. And he kind of did the same thing when I went to go get my condiments. Like I went to go grab some pickles, and like it still made me flinch even the second time, even after the gag was up, because I went to go grab the pickles, and like the pickles almost went flying too. And he just has to tell that to every time we meet someone new, and I think a part of it is because it justifies him periodically trying to spook me with it still. Like he'll come up behind me and go buzz, and it still makes me jump. Maybe not to the same degree. It's always like happy, frustrated after, Brian, stop that. So yeah.
Is he the type of person where it's like he's always pulling pranks?
Oh my gosh, yes. Brian is such a prankster. Like he, you turn the corner after coming out of the bathroom and he'll just scare the living daylights out of you. Like he doesn't use buzz on everyone. I think that's just a me thing at this point, and in joke a little bit. But like poor Sam, she has to live with him. She's got that constantly going on. It's really funny because sometimes he'll do it and like the cat will be following Sam, and the cat will like up and like jump like only cats can, 5 feet in the air. And I don't know, the one time I tried to get him back though, it ended up turning like he was like in the kitchen. I thought he was just like warming up some like coffee or something, but it turns out he's actually cooking with oil, and I almost had a big problem there. Like that could have burned him pretty bad. So I don't do it back, but he definitely to this day like needs to tell that story, and he to everyone we meet, and he'll even text me sometimes. He'll just say buzz in a text, and I'll be like, you suck. That's pretty much that. Second story. So the second story for me would be about like the My Happy Place number 13 one. So growing up, we would visit a whole bunch of cousins we had out in like Jao, New Mexico. It's like kind of, most of them lived in a little like middle of nowhere, one stop sign town. But on the way there or on the way back, we would often stop in this state park called Balmorhea State Park. And it's like 6 hours away from here. It's in the middle of the desert. There's nothing else around. But there is this state park, and it has a pool that's 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools making an L. And it's super, super deep, like enough to where they train scuba divers out there. And it has several trillion gallons of water that go through it, fresh water, every day that filters through it. And let me remind you, it's in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And it has several species of like desert fish and stuff that can be found nowhere else in the world or endangered otherwise. It's just so beautiful. Like I have so many memories of just like getting like a snorkel and some goggles and just like floating and watching the fish. And there were some that at the time felt bigger than me while I was swimming around, and then there were others that who are just the tiny minnows that if you stood still long enough, like they would nibble on you, and it was super cool. And there would be turtles that would float by. No snapping turtles, thank goodness, but it was just very peaceful, and it's super, super beautiful. It was originally, it was the first instance of irrigation in North America. It was made by the Native Americans, and then in the 1930s, the Army Corps of Engineers or civil engineers came through, and they made it into this state park with this giant pool. And I'm very grateful they did, because it made a lot of my childhood memories, and it also gave me a little bit of a passion to work with water and city planning, because if they can make this out in the middle of the desert, we sure as heck can find clean water here at home.
Does that have anything to do with career-wise, what you plan to do?
Strangely enough, I kind of want to be a teacher. As much as I like this idea, and I'm really, really interested in city planning, especially around water, I'm not that great at math, and engineers need to be good at that. And I do know I'm also pretty good at teaching. So as much as I think that'll become a passion of mine for the rest of my life, I don't think I'll make a career out of it.
Okay.
I think we're good. I'm at 6 minutes.